guys, this is Chodaros, and today's bracelet was a collaboration between myself and MsLoom. So I have probably designed, let's see, maybe about 50 bracelets since I started looming, and you can see how many I've posted, like 5. So I have a Dropbox folder, a cloud that I keep all my work in. And I decided to send it to Loomer from Norway and MsLoom. And this is what MsLoom had come up with. She took a whole bunch of my work and put a lot of it together to create one beautiful bracelet. Not sure on the name yet. We'll have it when I post. But let's see here. It's on a 6-pin bar setup. So your first and last pins are at one height, and then down one peg, and then your middle 4 are at another. This is only done on one loom, and you can see that it's probably going to take 2 looms for a full wrap. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 6 beads for one loom, so I'm guessing 12 for a full wrap. These bands right here we have used in another design by MsLoom. They're triple cap bands, so I highly suggest that you do those in a non-twisting band such as LE. And this right here I had done in the Familia bracelet, I believe, but it's easy to get twisted as well, your bands. So just some heads up if you're for band choice. So the beads that I'm going to use today, they come on a string like this, and I found them at Joann Fabrics in Hobby Lobby. So they have this really pretty 8mm pearl bead with bead caps on them. I thought that they were attached because I had used them in a different design. I believe it was the last one from Loomer from Norway. But when I took this string apart, bead caps came off, which is a good thing because now I can show you. I don't buy these very often, but if you would like to have the same look, you can just buy a separate strand of pearls or beads, any type of bead, and then just buy a bead cap that will fit appropriately, and voila, you have a brand new look. So these beads, for some odd reason, have a really, really tiny hole. So I'm going to use a 30 gauge. Gosh, it might even be smaller. No, 30 gauge. I'm not sure. It's very, very, very thin wire. And clear bands, because we can use clear in this bracelet. I stretch it out as much as I can. So if we're doing it in order, you want your bead cap to go first. If I could see, jeez. Okay. All right, let's see if we can get this bead on. Yep, because I'm using a stretchy band. And then now this bead cap goes on this way. I can't see it. There we go. So you don't have to look for these because they're going to be very expensive because they're already done. So you can look for it separately and make your own nice little bead cap bling. Okay, so anyhow, that's what I'll be using in the center today. So I'm going to go ahead and start. We're going to start with the border bands. So this I use sweets, but today I'm going to use, gosh, it's so difficult. I think I'm just going to use like purple and glitter white. Alright, so if we have 4 in the center for our close-up band, we want to have one going across the center too, then out, and then out. It's a glitter or sweets. Okay, so border is exactly as we always do a border. We run it up both sides of the loom. And I'm going to take mine all the way up. When I'm trying to fast loom, that's what I do. I put a whole bunch in my hand. Alright, so I'll let you guys do it. And however we have this down here is how we're going to finish it up top. So say that this was the end of our loom, you're just going to take it in and then across. Okay, so I'll meet you back at the front when we're finished. Alright, so once we have our border, we want to add our triple cap bands. So I'm going to start on, we're only going to put them on our last 2 pin bars, and we're going to start on the second one up. So any way you find easy to wrap it, I suggest you do it that way. So I kind of just finagle mine on, or you can take it 1, 2, 3 loops on your hook, and then just stretch it like that. So whichever way you find easiest, but we have to put them on every peg. Except the first and last. So you leave out these first 2 and leave out the last 2. So simple enough. That's what we're doing. Just you have to make sure it's 3 times. I did the one tutorial for MsLoom and I did not do them 3 times on her design, and it doesn't look good because it's not tight enough. So you gotta make sure you wrap it 3 times. Alright, let's finish all that up and then we'll meet back down for the next step. Okay, so now that we have all of our cap bands placed on every pin up our first and last pin bar, we're going to add diagonal bands. So this will go all the way up. Really want to make sure your cap bands press down, because you're going to have to add bands, plus in the end you're going to have to loom it. Okay, we know how to do this. Okay, so let's finish this step up until you reach the end, and then we'll come back down and then start our next step. Alright, so once you have your zigzags placed, you want to make sure that all your bands are pushed down. And now we are going to add 2 single chains going up the 2nd and 5th pin bar. So you want to start here at the end and take those bands all the way up. So as far as colors, like I'm using the same color as my, or same color and band as I used for the cap bands over here to try to link it in. Okay, so take those all the way up and we'll meet back down for the next step. Okay, so now we have our 2 single chains with the bands pressed down. So our next step, I think I'm going to add some silver. we're going to take a band and place it diagonally like that. And then we're going to take another band and place it straight across. And then our last band of the sequence is going to go diagonal. I'm sorry. It goes from this peg here diagonally in. Okay, so you're making like an arrow pointing that way. So then we start where we left off and we go in, or diagonally in, then straight across, and then close up the arrow. So we do that all the way up on both sides. So then on this side, you go in, cross, and we have arrows that are pointing each other. So just remember, wherever you left off is where you start your next. Okay, that's what it looks like. So let's go ahead and finish that up. And I believe our next step will be to add our bling. So you want to make sure that you have all of that strung. Okay, so our next step will be to add these bands. Like if you notice in your pattern, it's like a zigzag now and you have like a diamond. So where it's opened up 2 pins, we're going to add a few bands on each one. Okay, so our first one will be the 3rd peg up in the center. We're going to place a band over, over. Oh, these bands are not stretchy. And then across the middle. So then you skip a row, the side, side, oh, and then, oh, these bands, and then center. And so again, just do every other one, just making sure that you always put your side bands on first. Oops. And then your center. Okay, so let's finish that up and then we'll meet back down. Alright, so we have all of those cross bands on every other, and our last step before we add the beads will be adding 2 more single chains so that they go on the 2 center rows. So those go all the way up till you reach the end of your loom. And then we will meet back down to add our bling. And then after we add our bling, it will be time to start looping. Okay? Okay, so our last step is going to be to add the beads. So I have added all of my beads up except 2. I'll show you how to do 2 of them. They're not hard. So wherever, okay, first we put these bands that are going across. Mine are in the light pink. Or you can go by where the arrow comes in. Okay? In either way, every other peg is where we need to put our bling. So you see where the arrow comes in, those are the areas. So we put one there, and then we have the bands that go across, and then we put one there, so it's every other space. And then the bling, we put one side of the band has to cover 2 pegs. Okay? So it goes across those 2 pegs there, and then the bead will sit, and then the left side of the band has to cover the other 2 pegs. So 4 pegs in all is where your band should be placed. Okay, so then we skip a spot. there, we skip, and then we go to this one. And so again, make sure that your band is covering 2 pegs, and then we'll set your bead and then the next 2 pegs. Okay, and that bead will sit real nice in the center there. All right, excuse me, so we do that all the way up, and it should be the 3rd peg from the end will be your last bead. And then we want to put our cap band here, and then we're going to turn it around and start looping. So let's finish up that, and then I'll meet you for looping. Okay, so we have our loom turned around, and we want to place a cap band here on these 2 pegs. And our first step is going to be to loom up these 2 center chains, everything back to itself. So both sides. So it's the top band, and this will be the first band to go over your beaded band to keep your bead in place. So you want to make sure your bead is where you want it, which is just simply right in the center. So when we come to a beaded band slot, we want to make sure that we put our hook in front and then grab the band underneath. And that way, see, it's holding on to the beaded band. So again, you push that band back and then grab your band to go forward. And then this one is just normal, it's on top. Okay, so again, anytime you're at a beaded band slot, make sure you push that band out of the way and then grab our band to go forward. So we can continue to the top, and then we'll meet back here for our next step. Okay, so we have our 2 center chains loomed up, and now we're going to loom those 3 bands that we placed on every other pin. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the center band and just swap sides. So we start with the right and we pull it over here. So then we go underneath, grab the other end of the same exact band and pull it over here. So once we have that done, we go underneath and grab the other, which is the last band on that peg, and pull it over to the right. And then we go in here and pull this one over to the left. So we do that on every other. So the top band, we're switching places like that. And to keep this band secure, we go under, grab the only band left, and pull it over back to itself. So it's really important that the band that you're grabbing to go to the sides is the last band on those 2 pegs, because this is how we're keeping everything where it's going to stay together. So again, the center band switches places, and then the last band looms out to the sides back to itself. Alright, so we can finish that step up, and then we can meet down for our next step. Okay, so our next step will be to loom out those arrows. Mine are in this silver. So we start out here in the beginning, and we grab the band and take it back to itself. And then we come up where the bead is, and we want to take this band here, so we have to go underneath the beaded band and grab this end and bring it down. And then the next band in line will be the one that goes across. And then we start it over again, because the bands that are coming from the center going out, we always loom back to itself. And then the ones that are next to the bead, we always grab and loom it down. Okay? So every band that we loom out shouldn't be caught. It should leave opening there and push everything down. So then we just do the same on this side. Go in our cap band, grab this band and take it back to itself. Then go into here, grab this one and bring it down. Back in there, across, back in once again, up. So start where your beaded band is and bring this one down, and then across, and then up. Okay, so let's get that one done, and then we will start our next step. Okay, so we have 3 more steps, I believe, till we're finished. So now we're just simply going to loom up these single chains on the 2nd and 5th pin bar. But first we need to take this band over to be the cap band. So we go down 1 pin or 1 band and just loom all of these straight forward. But we're going to have to root through a lot of bands to get to the band we want, so you want to be very careful that you don't stretch on that band, pull on it, and break it. It's like the second to the last band, so just carefully on every other pin. Okay, oops. So, simple enough. Just pull all of them back to themselves, forward, and on these every other pegs, be real careful because there's a lot of tension. Alrighty, and then I'll meet you back down here. Alright, so our next step will be to loom out these zigzag bands, but we're only going to take it, I'm going to go through all those bands, so another tight, and we're going to loom both of those back to themselves, but they're always going to be loomed to the outer peg. So we're always grabbing them from here and looming them out. So then once you loom out these bands, you shouldn't have any bands left except on the outer pin bars. Okay, and then we come down on this side and we do the same. Okay, so let's go ahead and loom all of those out, and then we just have 2 more steps. Okay, so we have 2 more steps left, but we're going to knock them out at the same time. So I already did mine from here back, but what we're going to do is we're going to reach down here on the outside and grab that triple cap band and bring it up and over the peg, and then push those down. So make sure you've got the whole thing and bring it up and over. Okay, and then push those down, and then after we have all of those triple cap bands brought up and over, that's when we can come down and loom up our border. But make sure your triple cap bands are all completed first, and then goes the border. Okay, so then we come to this side, and again you're making sure that all 3 loops are on your hook, and bring it up and over. Like so. And then push those bands down and make those straight. And once we have all of those done, again, we just come over and we want to loom up the border on this side. Okay, so after you get done pulling over the triple cap bands and looming up the border, you can go ahead and take it off of the loom, but I would be very careful that you pull it off pin by pin and to make sure that we have a lot of bands on every other peg here, and that your bling comes off nice. Okay, so let's finish that up, and then we will look at the finished bracelet. Okay, look what happened to mine. You forget to loom 1 band, and there goes the right side. So I'm going to have to take the time, take it apart, and reloom it, and then I will meet back here with you. Okay, so here is my finished bracelet. I love it to death. I think it came out extremely gorgeous. All the different colors. 2 full looms certainly fits my wrist. So I hope you will make it and share with us on Instagram. So big shout out to MsLoom for your hard work. And I hope you guys will join me for more upcoming tutorials in the future. Thanks again, guys. Bye-bye.